Let's talk about some of the biggest words out there: awareness, consciousness, enlightenment. I mean, trying to define them can feel like trying to catch smoke in your hands, right? But what if the key to understanding all of them lies in a single, really powerful metaphor? Well, in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
So let's start with a big one. What is consciousness, really? I mean, think about it. How do you actually explain the experience of just being you? The source material we're looking at today points out this really key problem. All our words, our whole language, it's all built on things we've already experienced. So when you try to describe something that's maybe beyond that, the words just fall short. So where do we even begin?
Well, the answer starts right here. This is the core idea that's going to guide us through this whole thing. Forget about good versus evil or right versus wrong. Instead, I want you to imagine reality as a single coin. It's got two totally different faces, but they are absolutely essential. And they're part of the same thing. They're not fighting each other, they're completing each other.
Okay, so let's meet the two faces of our coin. First up, we have the selfish face. Now, don't get hung up on the word selfish. It's not a bad thing at all. It just means the principle of structure, of order. It's the side that deals with the world we already know and understand. And its partner? That's the altruist face. This is the principle of randomness, of chaos, of reaching out into the great unknown. It's all about pure possibility. Every single concept we talk about today is going to have these two sides. So let's start with something we all experience every single moment of our lives: awareness. And you guessed it, just like reality itself, our awareness has two distinct sides. There's a way of being in the world, and there's a way of watching it from a distance.
On one side of that coin, you've got immersive awareness. This is when you are totally lost in the moment. You're completely engaged, a part of the action, you are in the experience. But on the other side, you've got witnessing awareness. This is that feeling when you kind of step back and just observe your own thoughts, your feelings, the whole situation, almost like you're watching a movie.
And you know what? This witnessing awareness isn't a new idea. It has a specific name in Sanskrit: drashta. It's described as the knowing self. It's that part of you that can watch everything happening, the good, the bad, the pain, the pleasure, without getting all tangled up in it. It just watches. This is the altruist face of your awareness. And this gives us a really practical way to see the difference. Think about when you meditate and you focus on your breath. That's immersive, right? That's the selfish side. And why selfish? Well, because you're focused inward, dealing with what you know, your own body, your own breath. The drishta, on the other hand, the altruist side, is about something way bigger. It's about detaching from all that stuff that comes and goes to find the real, unchanging you that's just quietly watching it all.
Okay, so if awareness is our moment-to-moment perception, you could say consciousness is the huge, vast field where all that perception is happening. We're scaling up here from our own personal awareness to this grand idea of consciousness with a capital C. And you know the drill, that same two-sided coin applies, but now we're talking on a cosmic scale.
So get this. Here we have two kinds of self. First, there's the individual self. This is what you and I usually think of as me or I. It's our personality, our ego, our sense of being this one separate person. But then there's the supreme self. This is the wild idea that consciousness is actually this universal field, a cosmic all that connects absolutely everything. Let's break that down. The individual self, sometimes called aham, that's the ego. And it feels separate because of this thing called maya, which is basically illusion. And it's that feeling of being separate that's the source of pretty much all our fear. Now, on the flip side, you have the supreme self, or Brahman, which is totally, completely free. Its very nature is described as Sat Chit Ananda, which basically translates to truth, pure consciousness, and bliss. Sounds pretty good, right? Okay, so this leads to a massive question. I mean, if we have this limited, kind of fearful individual self on one hand, and this unlimited, joyful, supreme self on the other, which one are we really? Are we just our ego?
And the answer is pretty profound. It turns out we're not any of the things that constantly change. We're not our mind, we're not our body, we're not even our ego. We are the core, the constant thing at the very center that witnesses all of it. See, you aren't your thoughts. You are the one who is aware of your thoughts. Huge difference.
So it just makes sense, right? If the observer, the thing doing the watching, has two different faces, then it follows that what can be observed, knowledge itself, must also have two faces. So let's see how this whole duality thing plays out with what we know. So here are our two viewpoints. On one side, we have Vyavaharik Drishti. Think of this as the practical view. This is our everyday knowledge. It involves logic, making judgments, figuring out what we want. It's the kind of knowledge we need to, live in the world. But on the other side, there's Bhagavad Drishti, which you can literally translate as the God's view. So what exactly is this God's view? Well, imagine a way of seeing things that is completely calm, totally undisturbed, and 100% non-judgmental. It doesn't have a personal agenda, it doesn't want anything, it just sees things exactly as they are. This is the ultra's face of knowledge, and according to our source, it is the only perspective that leads to absolute, unfiltered truth.
And here is where it all clicks together. The crucial point is this: the quality of our knowledge depends entirely on which self is doing the observing. When our limited ego is looking at the world, the knowledge it gets is practical, sure, but it's also limited. It's all about its own survival. But when that universal witness is the one observing, the knowledge it perceives is absolute and true.
So all of this has been building up to our final and maybe biggest concept: enlightenment. Now, if our awareness, consciousness, and knowledge all have these two faces, then enlightenment isn't about picking one side over the other. It's about realizing they've been one and the same all along. It's the journey back to oneness.
And this shows us that enlightenment isn't some magical switch you just flip. No, it's a journey. You start from where you are, in the known, our structured, selfish side of reality. The journey itself is the process of moving from what we can understand and label towards the unknown, that formless, altruist reality that's so vast words just can't do it justice.
So what's at the end of the road? You arrive at a state called Sthita Pragya, which means the established one. Now, this isn't the journey itself, it's the result. It's this beautiful, unified, integrated state of being where those two faces of the coin aren't seen as separate anymore. They're just one complete reality. And this leads to such a profound shift in how we think about this. Enlightenment isn't about achieving something you don't have or becoming something new. It's a process of remembering what you've forgotten, that unified, whole nature that was there all along, just kind of hidden under the illusion that you were separate. Which brings us right back to where we started, full circle, the selfish and the altruist, the immersed and the witness, the individual self and the supreme self. They are not opposites fighting a war. They are, and they have always been, just two faces of the exact same coin. And understanding that, well, that's kind of understanding the whole shebang.
So, I'll just leave you with one final question to think about. In this very moment, right now, as you're listening to my voice, if your reality has these two faces, which one are you looking at?